Hey everyone, Void Ranger here with the Deluxe Lightspeed Megazord from Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. I've been trying to work on this review for a while, but there was some minor hiccups, not really anything bad, but the Zord itself, when I ordered it, didn't have any stickers on it, and I didn't want to do a naked Zord review. This is a family-friendly show, so no naked Zords in my productions. So, actually, big shout out to BD15 or BD15. I don't know how they prefer it to be said, but they have a great set. If mine looks a little bit different than yours, it's probably because of those stickers, but they really came through in a pinch. They're totally worth the money, and now my Zords actually look usable, or maybe not usable, but displayable. And they were fine on their own, but the stickers really add a lot of needed detail, in my opinion. So, moving on to the actual toys themselves, I don't really like the designs of these, which is funny because I really wanted this set, but I knew going into it I didn't really like the the designs, because I'm weird. I was just like, well, maybe I'll like it better in person, which has happened before, but for these, I'm not a super big fan, which is, I'm not trying to be contrarian or anything, but usually I see a really high praises for this Zord, at least the design and stuff, but for me, it doesn't really do it. There are things about it I like and things I think it does well, but the main designs, I don't know, they look retro, and I love retro flair when done properly, but I think they look retro in kind of a bad way, and we'll get to that. But as a toy, it's fine. They are really tiny, which I'm not going to point out how each one is super tiny every time. And before anybody says it or comments on it, yes, I know they have to fit into the Super Train Megazord. I own it. It's giant. It's fantastic. I love it. It's my favorite Zord out of Lightspeed. But I'm not sure they needed to be this tiny, because he is a small boy, which is fine. I mean, you know, whatever. Do what you got to do. But I kind of wish they were a bit larger, because they feel kind of like Hot Wheels. I know Hot Wheels are tinier, so don't jump on me. But I don't know. I don't super enjoy their size either. But as far as looks, red does not look bad. You can see the labels on him are not the originals, like I said. The other ones are, I guess the official ones are kind of like a holofoil, like a Pokemon card. But you know what? I don't think this really needs that. And it looks alright. Something that gives the kind of retro 80s vibe to me is this detailing in the plastic, which I guess maybe a lot of people like, but for me it's a little too flat. So it really makes it, to me, look like something that came out of 1982 rather than the late 90s, which is a personal preference. Like, if you love it, go for it, you know, whatever. But what I will give it is where you put the stickers, the details are there too. So like the badge is there, it's under there, it's carved out. So I guess you could display this without stickers if you wanted to and not lose that detail, which I appreciate. And we also kind of moved towards that as we started losing stickers later on in the 2000s, which I'm glad we don't really do stickers anymore, and I'm appreciative. So maybe this was a test run for it. Something else I'll give it, though, is I actually do like the detail on the bottom of them, because they could have just made it flat, but it like has, I don't know anything about cars, so it has these bits and boops, and they're there to do things. They don't actually do things, but they're there on a vehicle that would have them to do things. So it does look good in that sense. They clearly did put a lot of effort into these, I think. I just don't think their designs meshes with what I like. But what I do like about them, most of them have some kind of secondary function. Not exactly they obviously not a different form, because these go from car to Megazord, but like a rescue vehicle, they have like it's a ladder. It's a I can't think. It's a ladder for a fire truck, and instead of just letting you pretend, you can actually pull this out and like pretend like Carter did rescue somebody, you know, whose Hot Wheel caught on fire or something. Like they did in the show, they could have just made that straight up a feature for transformation and just left it at that, but they did let you do it with the toy, which is kind of nice. And maybe that's why they're smaller, because they had to add in more functionality, and that cut into the budget or something. I have heard varying reports of these Zords being like a different type of plastic, like Bandai changed the plastic they use when they were making these, and it's more fragile. And while I haven't experienced any issues exactly with like big pieces breaking, it actually, part of it broke just opening the box, so presumably in transit, and I will show you that in a little bit. But that said, I mean, it's light but also dense, if that makes sense. So it is well constructed. At least this one I could like throw at somebody and hurt them if I wanted to. So hopefully I don't do that. And this piece does rotate. It's not broken. It's for like the finishing effect that you see in the show when the Megazord is formed. And yeah, something else that you'll see on the other ones, they have these little parts for like where the lights and the siren, well, I guess the sirens don't necessarily come from there, but where the lights would be, kind of like the Rescue Megazord, which I have this whole headcanon of how the Rescue Zords were salvaged and used for research for this, which I'm sure everybody else has thought of too. I'm not trying to be like a snowflake or anything, but I do kind of wish there were lights and sounds for this, because that would kind of add to it, but there are not. And I'm not a huge fan of lights and sounds, as you guys, if you've watched my stuff before, know. But in this case, I think it would have helped to add a little bit more playability. And before I put him down, I will say that this rolls relatively well on this surface, because these are wheels. There's 8 of them on each on this one, but they are not rubberized. They are hard plastic, so you know they get the job done. The next piece. Oh, by the way, while I'm thinking about it, this one is called Pyro Rescue 1. This one is Aqua Rescue 2. This one is Aero Rescue 3, Haz Rescue 4, and Med Rescue 5. The names are whatever, but I kind of think, and this isn't the toy's fault, but I kind of think the naming system is stupid. I'm fine with the words. It's the numbers that drive me nuts. All of their names would be fine without the numbers at the end. I know it's based on Go-Go 5. I get it. There's a number there in the title. They've got them somewhere on here on their badges, but I don't remember any of the Rangers ever being like Pink Ranger 5. I don't know. I should win an Academy Award for that, but I don't know. The number kind of adds nothing to it, and I like to think about weird things. So, well, if we've got Med Rescue 5 here, where's Med Rescue 1 through 4? Like, did it take us 5 tries to get this ambulance Zord to work? Pet peeve. I don't know. It's weird. Continuing. Part of the reason I bought this set specifically, I knew it didn't have stickers on it, which was a downside. I did my research and I found that I could buy those replacements. But it did include these water cannons and the sword as well, even though the sword is its own story in a second. But it's hard to find this sword for a decent price. Even more so difficult with finding it with its actual pieces. These things apparently went missing because you can detach them for a secondary mode. And I assume like every little kid on the planet who ever owned these lost them. I never owned this set. This is actually my first time ever seeing it in real life. So, you know, whatever. I don't have any kind of crazy nostalgia for it. Lightspeed is kind of where I ducked out during my original Power Rangers watching. I was a teenager. I was 14. I wouldn't say I was cool because I wasn't, but I did not like the lack of continuity, which I talked about in Lost Galaxy, but that kind of turned around. So when Lightspeed came out, I was like, oh, let's see. And it was completely standalone, which as an adult is fine, whatever. But as a kid, I was like, I'm not invested in these new characters. But I don't dislike the show. It's not my favorite, but it's also like definitely not the worst. I just don't have any kind of crazy nostalgia for it. And don't get me started on that team up episode. But this one's kind of more the same. It rolls. It doesn't have a secondary function in the sense that Red did. You know, you have your water cannons, which you can do a whole lot of pretending that water is shooting out of those. And it's got the same kind of details on the underside. I'll show you if I can. Let's see. Right here, and I don't know if... where was it? I can't remember where it broke. That's terrible, isn't it? There was a piece on here that snapped. It might be one of these. I think it actually is. Oh yeah, there it is. It was both of these. So only one piece of the peg fell out when I opened the box. So I'm going to assume the other peg was already broken. And apparently this set is notorious for that. I thought it was on blue for some reason, but I don't play with these very often. They like stay on the shelf, so you'll have to forgive me for not knowing. But what I will say about it, other than that, I haven't had an issue. It still connects. It's just a very loose connection if you like pick it up by the top. So sometimes it falls off, sometimes it doesn't. But it displays just fine. I'm not really invested in finding another one of these. Maybe one day. But blue actually has some heft to them as well, because in the split here, these pieces in here are actually die cast. I'm not really sure why. There doesn't seem to be any kind of like rhyme or reason to it, but it does add some nice weight. And I wish there was more chrome and stuff on it, honestly. But this one looks fine. It's kind of weird. I've never seen any sort of water vehicle like this. Maybe it's something in Japan, but I have no idea. But it kind of like Siren Blast. No, yes, Siren Blaster in Turbo give me like Mega Man X vibes, and it might just be the blue. I don't know, but these kind of look like futuristic vehicles in a retro way. God, I'm so contradicting today. So that one kind of gives me like Mega Man vibes, which I love Mega Man, so that's cool. But moving on, Aero Rescue Green here is my favorite easily of the set. I like the hovercraft look. He's very tiny. I mean, I don't have a ruler or anything, but trust me that I have tiny hands. So he doesn't really do much. His turbines, his engines, I don't know. I'm not a car person or a vehicle person in general. They rotate, which is cool because that, you know, depending on how he's going, up or down, like off camera where you can't see him, he would rotate these, and that's kind of neat. You can also turn them, which is kind of cool. They don't actually do anything though, so like it's just for, I guess, your viewing pleasure. That sounds kind of weird, but these move based on like just transformation, so not really anything special. But this one kind of lacks the detail of the other ones just because there's not a lot of space for them to detail. It's all kind of on the cockpit. But I think this one looks the most sleek and cool, and the green's like a really good shade. It looks the best to me. This part here, the cannons, you could move them and make it shoot up if you wanted to, and with all the pretending you'd be doing, but it's mostly for the transformation purpose. There's no real, I guess this is the landing gear, but there's nothing to like fold out or anything, so it's very simple, but I think it does what it's supposed to do pretty well. Next is yellow. I kind of go back and forth with, do I hate yellow more or do I hate pink more as far as the design? I think I really dislike pink, which is unfortunate, but you know, whatever. They call it Haz Rescue, but it's clearly an armored truck. We're not going to get into that. I mean, I guess you could put hazardous materials into an armored truck and keep them walled off and safe. But this one's super light because it's hollow inside because of the transformation. So you can pull that off and see where the leg goes. It's kind of dark, but whatever. You also get something, like I said I liked earlier. If you pull this piece out here, I can't get my fingernail under there. You get the claw. The claw. I'm sure somebody else has made that joke before. And if you don't get it, you're too young for them, bro. I don't know. But you can like pick up your bad guys and stuff. And you know, you can't actually rotate it back in. So the claw, I guess, is just for grabbing them and driving them around and throwing them somewhere Mario Kart style. I don't know. You don't actually do that in Mario Kart unless it's a turtle shell. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate that they actually put that piece there and the effort went into it. This thing is just so like late 80s. I don't even know. I don't know what part of the 80s this reminds me of. But I feel like I saw this on a cartoon on like Cartoon Network in the mid 90s. So it just has this detail and weird N64. That's what it is. It looks like an N64 model. This whole system, this whole set looks like the N64 polygons of Zords, which is strangely appropriate because I think they had a Lightspeed Rescue game on N64. In fact, I'm sure of it. So yeah, it looks like it was rendered on the N64 and it is blocky, and maybe people like that, but it doesn't do it for me. But pink is the worst right now. Like today, pink is the worst. I appreciate the chrome on both of them and even on green, but it's light as well because it opens up and it's hollow for the transformation. Though in the show, Dana let people drive up and park their cars in there for escape, which, you know, is there, but you're probably not going to have a Micro Machines car handy. It's just so boring. I don't know. It's that same retro future design that it just doesn't strike out like what it's trying to do. I don't know. I might not be making sense, but maybe lights and sounds would have helped it in that case. Maybe more pink. I'm always a fan of more pink, but I mean, it's barely a pink vehicle. They should have just had a White Ranger if they were going to do this. That's kind of the hill I'm going to die on with Sentai and Power Rangers. Like, go the distance. I love it when they embrace the pink. That also doesn't sound great. Like I said, family friendly, guys. Actually, it's not. Please, children, do not watch this because this is for audiences 13 and up. It's simple. It gets the job done. It's just kind of ugly. It also looks like an N64 model. It looks like something you'd see like while flying over the city in Superman 64 because you're playing Superman 64 because you have bad taste. I don't know. I'm not trying to be rude. It's just the truth. So with that said, let's get to transformation. We're going to make a mid-stop in the transformation though. You take yellow. You fold it up and the whole process is done for yellow. Actually, that's not true. You fold this back because otherwise you won't be able to get the leg in. I'm going to move these over to the side just so I have a little bit more room. Pink is pretty simple too. Basically the same. Flip that up and you can fold this back. And it kind of like satisfyingly clicks into place, which is nice on the back. And then boom, you have feet. So, like I said, we're going to make kind of a stop, but it stops with blue. You split these open, and then you pull that just down, and it clicks into place, thus holding the legs in and not wobbling like you may have seen it just do. And I'm not going to do the whole... am I doing this wrong? The whole... Oh, yes, I am. Wrong side. There we go. Transformation thing with... like they do in the show with... the complicated green carrying everybody thing. I'm not doing that. But they went into this mode called Hydro mode, which I applaud them for doing something weird and different. You take these off and you just put them up here. And then the Megazord's bottom half would like walk, which he can actually do. So I appreciate that. And fire water cannons at stuff. So I guess it gives them more range, but it's just kind of weird to me. But you know, at least they did something. They could have just totally left that out. So I will give them props for that. But continuing the process, you take red here, and it's pretty simple. You fold this piece down, and you fold these around. Now, I always kind of get, I wouldn't say confused, but I don't like the joints on this. I always feel like I'm going to break it. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of difficult to turn. But they split out because of, oh God, hold on. Why is this? Okay. It was stuck, which may just be mine. But that piece kind of gets stuck and holds them in. But anyway, you fold this forward and try to focus. Come on, dude. My camera's a dude, by the way. You push that in and the front just kind of folds down like that, holding the belt waist piece in place. And when you click those over, you've got the body like this. And we're going to go ahead and snap him on and see if he will actually connect. Like I said, those pieces are broken, but generally I don't have any issue. I'm going to try and let you see more of him just like right here. But it's kind of neat and weird, just different. But you pull the ladder arms all the way out, which looks kind of funny, obviously. But then you push them back in, which is hard to do on camera. But then you don't push them all the way back in. You can't just pull them out though, like to the fist. You actually have to pull, like I just pushed it in too far. You have to pull it in and carefully like let them re-click. Otherwise they go back in. It's a little odd. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. So going up next, you get green, which is pretty easy. First you want to pop this out, which I always kind of have trouble doing because you can't even see it. But there's not really, for me, a good place to pull the head up. But you rotate these back and you pop the head out. I usually try to put a little bit of force on the gun just by default, which I feel like is going to break it one day. So just pop that forward, rotate the landing gear back, and then flip these hover panels, I don't know, these exhaust vents forward. And basically he just locks in there and he's done. Make sure the cannons are pointed straight up and you have the Lightspeed Megazord, which, okay, he's tiny. I'm telling you, he's small. Like, you're just gonna have to believe me that he is a tiny boy, which I've kind of grown to like be used to. I actually have to push him back a little bit so you can see him better. But I'm gonna zoom in just so you can get an idea of the detail. I'm also insane, so I have to have that like straight. It drives me crazy if it's crooked. He doesn't look bad. The stickers look good. I actually prefer him a lot more in Megazord form, which I guess is important because well, that's how they get displayed. But individually they don't do much for me. In Megazord form, it's fine. 7 out of 10. I don't know if I was going to give him ratings. But he does have his sword, which I will show you. But I'm going to kind of show you something, well, weird, funny, whatever. But apparently the sword is delicious. When it arrived, somebody clearly liked the taste of it because they chewed it. I have washed it because I am that person. It's also bent. But you know what? I got the sword. It's also chewed here. So I don't know. This person either liked nibbling on like pins and then decided this was great, or maybe their kid got it or their dog. I don't know. But it's here. The sword's there. One day I'll replace it. You actually have to open his hands up, which I appreciate that he can do. Uh-oh. I pushed it in, so now we gotta do this again. Oh God, please don't fall. Yeah, see, I don't get it. I didn't snap it out far enough, apparently. Here, I'm a professional. You can watch me do this. But yeah, he looks good with his sword. He's fine. And then his ladder arms can extend and do rapid punches, which I'm not going to do because I don't feel like fiddling with the arms again. Fiddling. Did you hear my southern come out? God, I'm crazy tonight. But he does look good in Megazord form. I like it. If I were into the mini plays, I don't know how you say that, I would get it because he looks pretty neat. And that just makes it look better. I don't know, for what he goes for online, which I've typically seen him around $100, unless you're a giant fan of Lightspeed, I I don't know. I don't think he's worth $100. I mean, that didn't stop me because I'm a completionist, but I don't know. I definitely like the Super Train, and Super Train is easily my favorite Zord out of the Lightspeed sets. Also, why? I know it's white on because of the Zord, but that it drives me crazy that it doesn't match the black on the bottom of it. But I don't know. He's not my favorite. I don't get him if you can get a good deal or you have a particular amount of nostalgia for Lightspeed. I think Lights, would have made a big difference here to give him more functionality, but I guess you'd have to use really tiny batteries, and that would have raised the price of him. Just not 100% sold on him yet. Maybe he'll grow on me. I do like his helmet sculpt though. Let's see, before I end this, I'll try and zoom into it. I think he does have a cool like field commander vibe to him. The sunglasses and the little mouthpiece. Come on. Are we gonna do this? There we go. He looks pretty cool in the face. I'll give him that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just picky. I'm not sure. But that said, that is the end of today's review. I appreciate you watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of YouTube stuff. Make sure to check in the description below for my social media. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I super appreciate it. And I love engaging with you guys. So until next time, this is Void Ranger, and I will see you later. Bye.